Oh my God, it's happening again. Just made a video about this. We've got another golden record reprint that looks like somebody or multiple people have mistaken for the original. This one hasn't sold yet. So, maybe we can help some people out with this one. Let's talk about this book. All right. So before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So, just this week, I made a video about an Amazing Spider-Man #1 6.0 that was a golden record reprint that sold on Heritage Auctions in their weekly auction for $11,100. This book is not worth that book was not worth $11,100, worth about $1,000, $950, something like that. So clearly two people mistook it for the original and got bid up. However, that happened. However, it got bid up. So just recently for this week in the next Heritage Weekly auction, there's an Avengers 4 uh, golden record reprint, and somebody messaged me on Instagram and they're like, "Hey, have you seen this one?" And I hadn't looked through the listings yet for this auction, so I hadn't seen it yet. And they're like, "Hey, did you see this one? It looks like someone else is doing this." So I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" So figured we would make another video talking about this one because this is actually before this one actually officially sells. But I mean, I'd be shocked if it got any more bids, but who knows? I mean, someone paid $11,000 for, a 6.0 of the reprint. So who knows what someone will pay for this Avengers #4. But throw up on the page here. We've got, this is the one that sold that I talked about earlier this week. This was the 6.0 Amazing Spider-Man #1 golden record reprint. I showed this before where you can see it's like on the label, it says reprint 3 different times. It's very clear that it's the reprint. It says it in the listing that it's the reprint. The fact that it's happening again, really, it makes me think that this may be people buying them for gifts, like people that aren't familiar with comics and are thinking they're buying this as a gift for someone, because I've never seen this before. I don't think this is anything shady. I don't think it's shill bidding or anything like that. I think it is definitely somebody that's, I mean, it's obviously someone that's misunderstanding what it is, but I think it's probably someone that's not familiar with comics and maybe buying those gifts, which is really unfortunate because if they are, and maybe it's like a Christmas gift, it might be a few weeks from now before the person realizes it when they give it as the gift, because that person would realize what happened. And then it's going to be a whole big issue. And I mean, trying to do a return at that point could be extremely difficult. It's difficult anyway. I mean, you are making an agreement when you bid on this stuff, but all right, let's jump over to the Avengers 4. So these are some of the books that are up for sale in this coming weekly comic auction on Heritage. And if you're not familiar, they have a weekly comic auction where Golden Age is on Sundays, Silver Age is on Mondays, and Bronze up through Modern is on Tuesdays. So this is considered a Silver Age book because even though it's a reprint, it's an old reprint from 1966. So it's going to sell on Monday. And you can see there are 4 copies of Avengers #4 that are coming up for sale on on Heritage on this Monday. We have a 4.0 copy right here. This is an original. We have a 1.5 copy. This is an original. And then we have an 8.5, and you can see this is the reprint. This has all the like the little notes on the label, everything like that. Let's look at the price. So the current bid for the 4.0 original, $600 plus the 20% premium. So that's $720. The 1.5 is at $140 plus the premium. So what would that be? $168. And I think it's actually a minimum of $29. So it's probably $169. Then we have the reprint sitting at $2,300. So when you add in the 20% buyer's premium, that's $2,760. And I'll show you in the pricing that this is very high. This is not what this book goes for. And we're going to talk about these. We're going to do some comparisons and all of that, because if I can help maybe someone else avoid making this mistake, I'll keep talking about these. I think it's worthwhile to keep talking about these if I can help someone avoid this mistake. So here we've got Avengers #4. This is the original. And if we go and look at what an 8.5 sells for, and this is on GPA, talked about GPA a number of times. So I have people ask me about pricing and all that kind of stuff on the channel a lot. There are a lot of different options that are out there. The ones that are currently generally available are GPA, which is this. You've got Go Collect, which I also show on the channel, and then Cover Price. And then we've also got Fanalytics, that is a sponsor of the channel, and theirs isn't out yet, but should be coming out relatively soon. But this is GPA, and you can see an 8.5. Last sale, $5,040 in November of this year, 2023. And if we look at the pricing for this book, you can see it had a really big spike during the comic boom, had a high sale of $10,500. Prior to the comic boom, an 8.5 was going anywhere from around, looks like $3,500 to about maybe $5,500. It's really retreated back down in line with where you would expect it to go. And so, I mean, really, I think this book is legitimately worth around $5,000 right now. I mean, if you look at the general trend of this book seems like it's probably worth around $5,000 in an 8.5 for the original, for the first print. But if we scroll down, you can go down to where you have the reprint. This is from 1966. You can see on the little notes here, it says Golden Record reprint next to all of these. And if we go down to an 8.5, last sale, also this month, $550. So, I mean, you have to go up to a 9.8 to get up around this pricing. You know, 3,050, that was 5 years ago, probably would sell for more now, but 3,050, this book right now is sitting at 2,760 for an 8.5 of the reprint. If we look at the reprint, high sale ever, $730. High sale ever, but that's going to change come Monday because it's already up at that bid. So it's, I mean, it's selling for that price, at least that price. And so it's sitting up at $2,760. There's going to be a huge jump up in this chart. And it's just like what we saw with the Amazing Spider-Man #1 Golden Record reprint that sold for $11,000. Like the prior sale was like $1,200. Then you have this huge spike in the chart when it got pulled in. So you can see this book is worth probably around, I mean, that seems like it's probably about right. It's probably worth around $550, somewhere in the, you know, $500 to $600 range. And it is currently sitting at $2,300. You can see with the buyer's premium, which is what gets pulled into GPA. If you're not familiar, that's the final price. It's with the buyer's premium. Don't worry too much about the $2,300. The actual price is the price plus the 20% buyer's premium. So that 2,760 is what is going to get pulled in, and that is going to be a massive record and a crazy fluke sale for this book. Don't expect that that's going to increase the value of the Golden Record reprint. These are just huge mistakes that buyers are making, and it's crazy to have it happen twice in a row. Because, I mean, I've talked about this before. If you're familiar with my channel, I have watched the weekly Heritage comic auction and all their auctions, like their signature ones and everything, for, I mean, at least 4 years, every week. And I have priced anywhere generally between 100 up to maybe 250 books per week, most weeks. This year I've slowed that down some, but prior to that, for the first like 3.5 years, every week. So I have priced tens of thousands of comics for the Heritage auctions. I am very familiar with the ranges that you can see in, you know, with out of line sales. And I had never seen anything like that Amazing Spider-Man #1 before from last week. Someone's paying 10 times as much. The biggest fluke sale that I ever saw before that, of all of those tens of thousands of books that I've priced and that I've watched and pulled in the sales data, was the Killing Joke first print. And it sold for like, I don't know, maybe like $1,200 when they had normally been going for around 250 or 300 for a 9.8. I can show that one because it'll definitely it'll jump out on the chart. But even that one, that one didn't feel off because I mean, there's a lot of, it was really off percentage wise, but it wasn't a huge amount of money. So if we look at Batman, the Killing Joke, and we go to a 9.8, you'll be able to see this sale right away. So right now a 9.8, it's dropped a lot, is down $170. It was this sale right here. You know, this one where $1,260 in 2022. And if we scroll down to that sale, you know, we can see that one, and it's this right here, and like everything around it, like 265, 270, 315, 275. And there's this $1,260 sale. It was like a first print. I think I maybe made a video about it. Might have made a joke about it, like saying like someone must have thought there was like $1,000 stuffed in the pages of this book or something like that. But this was the biggest outlier I had ever seen, and it was by a significant percentage. I mean, sometimes you'll see like big outlier sales with Golden Age, but even that's usually like 50 or 75% more. And that's just because they're super rare books and people are taking advantage of that at that time. Like Killing Joke first print is not a rare book. There are tons of them out there. And that's why that one really stuck out. But these golden record reprints are also not rare. And that's why like these sales really stuck out. Like this $11,100 sale compared to $1,000 normally is a huge outlier. And that's why I don't think it's anything like shill bidding or anything like that. I think it has to be, because if you're going to shill bid, you'd do it within reason, right? You wouldn't want to really draw attention to yourself. This draws attention. This is clearly a case of misunderstanding. And that's the same thing here with this 8.5. I mean, this person is paying 5 times what it's worth, over $2,000 more than what this book is actually worth. And they might think they're getting a great deal because they see those past sales for an Avengers #4, and they see, oh, like an 8.5 normally goes for 5,000. Like I'm getting this for half of that. And that's why I just think that it's somebody that either doesn't know comics or buying a gift for someone, and just a big misunderstanding. But because I'm talking about these again, I thought what I would do is I've got all of the different golden record reprints pulled up here so we can just flip back and forth between them. You can see the differences between the books. And so here's Amazing Spider-Man #1. So this is the golden record reprint. You can see it doesn't have the price here, doesn't have the number here. And if we flip to a original, you can see what those differences are. I mean, there's a couple other little things. It looks like the Comics Code Authority stamp in the corner shifts a little bit, but that's the type of stuff you're not going to notice when you see it by itself. The things you'll notice are the price missing and the number missing. And if you go to the back cover, the back cover is completely different. So this is the back cover of the reprint. You can see it's got an advertisement for the golden record reprints, whereas obviously the original does not. So extremely different back covers. But normally if you just see the book from the front, maybe people don't always look at the back cover. You wouldn't notice that. So now let's go to the Avengers #4. So this is the golden record reprint, and this is an original. This is the other one that's up for sale, or one of the other ones that's up for sale this week. And again, you can see right here where you've got in the corner box where there is no 12-cent price there. We flip to the original, you've got the 12-cent price. You also see on the original, it has the 4 for the issue number and March there. That is missing on the reprint. It's also interesting that they changed the angle of this little arrow as well. Now, that's not something you would probably notice. Like you can see how the arrow is a little larger on the reprint and it's angled up versus to the side. I don't know why they decided to make that change. The other reprints didn't really seem to make any types of changes like that, but they made that obvious change here. But that's something, again, you probably wouldn't notice if you just saw it on its own. But the things you would notice are the price and the issue number. Then again, if we go to the back cover, there's the back cover of the original, and here's the back cover of the reprint. Again, reprint has the advertisement for the golden record reprint. So if you see that, you've got a reprint. Now let's go to Fantastic Four #1, because I didn't actually show this one, I don't think, in my last video. And so this here is a reprint, 9.2 for $1,000. You hope no one ever makes that mistake with, with this book, because a 9.2 of the original sold for 1.5 million last year. So a huge, obviously price difference here, $1,000 versus 1.5 million. So again, if we look at the differences, we've got the 10-cent price, because this one actually was back when it was still 10 cents. So that's a difference here. 10-cent price on the original, no price here. And then we've got the #1 November on the original and no number here. You also notice there's this little bit of text up in the corner here. I think it's IND. If we zoom in, yeah, this IND there, that is not on the reprint. So that's another thing that's just slightly different between the two. And just, to be consistent, this is the back cover. And if we go to the back cover here, obviously you have very different back covers between them. Now, last one, Journey into Mystery #83, first appearance of Thor. This one, again, this is the reprint here, and this is the original. And you can see you've got the number and that IND here and the 12 cents on the original. You do not have them on the reprint. Everything else is pretty much the same. I mean, there might be something I don't think I noticed anything real different. Maybe like the coloring is maybe a little bit different, but for the most part, it's identical. And so those are the things you need to really look for. And of course, again, here's the, the original back cover, and here is the reprint back cover. And again, you can see what the difference in price is. I mean, a 7.0 Journey into Mystery number 83, 27,000, a 7.0 of the reprint, $384. Now, I can see almost why you're more likely to make the mistake with the Avengers number 4, because the prices are actually a little bit closer together. I talked about that a little bit in the last video, that Avengers number 4 in a original, like a low grade, maybe a 1.0 or something, you can still get easily under $1,000, even a 2.0, maybe even like a 3, get under $1,000. But you can't with these other ones like this, obviously like this Journey into Mystery going for, 27,000, the Fantastic Four number 1, 1.5 million, the Amazing Spider-Man. That's why the Amazing Spider-Man one is so shocking, because it's such a huge price difference. And so that's why this one was the most shocking I've probably ever seen with a mistake buy in a sale, because it's just so far off. But like the Avengers number 4, like the, an 8.5 going for 550 versus 5,000, it's not quite as extreme as going from 1,000 to for the Fantastic Four number 1 to 1.5 million, or going from 384 to 27,000, that kind of thing. And so it's a little bit closer. You can see why it's like maybe a little more likely that somebody would make that mistake, but it's still, it's wild to me that we're seeing this 2 weeks in a row, which means maybe it's the same person. Like it could be the same person or people making this mistake, and they don't realize it, and they won't understand until they actually maybe get the books or something. I mean, I don't know, but hopefully enough people see this video, like maybe this person realizes it, and it, helps prevent someone from making this mistake, because whoever's selling this book, they're already doing well enough. They were expecting they would maybe make $550. They're selling this book now for 2,760. They are, by far setting the record for it. They're making plenty on it. So I think it's just worthwhile to bring this up again. I hopefully don't have to make another video next week about like a Fantastic Four or Journey to Mystery 83. This is bad enough, but yeah, hopefully this helps, helps familiarize you with these different reprints, what the differences are between them and the original. So you hopefully don't make that mistake yourself. If you enjoyed this video, if you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. I've got more videos over here. If you'd like to watch some of my other videos, subscription button is right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.